Hello, I'm RetroJules. Welcome to Update 4.8 Evolution, the last update of 2018, consisting of the Polish tech tree, the replay browser, a map variant returns, sniper view replays, and various other improvements and changes. So without further ado, let's start with the exciting news, the new Polish tech tree, a very small tech tree, consisting of literally one tank per tier. At tier 1, we have the 4TP, a light tank, based on the famous Vickers Carden Lloyd. It weighs at just over 4 tons and is equipped with an 85 horsepower engine. At tier 2, we have the 7TP light tank. The British influence continues. At tier 2, an evolution of the design laid down with the Vickers Mark E. This went further than his little brother at tier 1, with just under 150 tanks rolling off the production line. At tier 3, we have the 10TP, the light tank, and at tier 4 we have the 14TP, which is also a light tank. The tier 3 and 4 light tanks were very similar models. The 10TP was prototyped and successfully tested between 1938 and 1939, but due to the outbreak of the Second World War, work on the tank stopped and the prototype was destroyed. A similar fate befell the 14TP as work was delayed in the early 1939s when a suitable engine couldn't be found. The tank was never assembled due to the German invasion in September 1939. At tier 5 we have the 25TP Xust medium tank. A tank concept developed in 1937, this tier 5 vehicle has been hotly anticipated by the Polish community. The tank has evolved from the lower tiered Polish vehicles with a 75mm gun and 135 alpha damage. At tier 6 we have the 40TB Hapicha or Hakabika, and this tank's particularly got my attention because of that crate on the front of the tank. Now, is that crate full of mortar shells? Is it full of grenades? To me, it looks like a nice case of Tyskie beer. And at tier 7 we have the 45TP Habika. Now we reach the two incarnations of a concept by Edward Habich. Both of these tanks were brought to life from the ideas of his talented Polish engineer. Blending the best parts of contemporary German and Soviet designs, the Soviet influence resulted in sloped armour, and the German influence brought compact turrets and high firepower. The firepower will be a consistently strong feature of Polish tanks from tier 6 upwards. This is when they start to get interesting. At tier 8 we have the 53TP Markowskiego heavy tank. This tier 8 tank is best seen as a transitional tank, acting as a bridge between its medium and heavy brethren. It's a relatively heavy but bulky tank with a couple of cannon choices, 105mm and 122. Armour wise, the tank has a tough turret on top of a weaker hull. At tier 9 we have the 50TP, the Tyskie heavy tank. This tank boasts great alpha damage from its 130mm gun. It boasts destructive firepower and great armour, but things really start to slow down in terms of top speed. And finally, at tier 10, the 60TP, the Lewandowskiego. In terms of its size and looks, you'd be mistaken to think that this was a Soviet vehicle. With a 152mm gun fitted on the tank, you can potentially knock 750 hit points off enemies with one shot. This tier 10 war machine fits as a hybrid of the IS-4 and the E-100, a heavily armoured, low speed damage dealer that is perfect for crushing enemies. And then we have the replay browser. You can go into your start menu and select replays, and you will have the option to watch any trending replays, watch your own replays, and watch any friends that you have on your console's replays. These replays aren't uploaded by the user, these are automatically uploaded from games that you have. Trending replays will just be a variety of different replays. Your own replays will be the games that you've had, and then your friends obviously are the people that you know and have friended, and you are able to watch anybody's games. When you select the thumbnail, you'll get the map, the type of battle it was, what tiers it's at, what the date was and what time, and when you actually physically go into the thumbnail, it'll actually show you the team breakdowns and who was on the teams. This is a really great way of watching each other's gameplay, seeing how your friends are doing. You can send a message saying, oh, I've just had this awesome game in my tank on such and such a map, have a look, see what you think. Also a great way for sharing your clips with the YouTubers if they feature your clips on their channels. What is an excellent feature within this facility now is first person perspective, sniper view. Any replay that you go into, you can now click the left stick and you will go into sniper view as that game is being played, and you can do that on any of the tanks. You can't move the camera while you do it, and you won't see the sniper view as the player was selecting it, but you can just physically go into it. And for argument's sake, if you have a replay and you think, I really don't understand how I died in that game, I was hull down, I just don't know how they got me, then you could replay that game and go into first person perspective as the enemy tank and watch yourself being killed, and you'll be able to see where they were aiming on your tank. I think this is a really helpful and handy feature. So not only can you download other people's replays and watch them, and also go into sniper mode and see it for real, but also when you play a replay back like you normally would do, you'd go into your log tab, find a game, play it back. You can also go into sniper mode in that on any of the team players and any of the enemy players as well. A really great feature. And then also you've got the post-mortem camera, so when you've died horrifically, or you're the first person to die and you may fancy watching the rest of the battle just to see how it pans out, then you can watch the rest of your team in sniper view too. And then quite simply, one of the map variants returns. Severogorsk, in the snow, a tier 4 map upwards. Game modes are standard, team destruction and encounter, and it's 1 kilometre square too. A map we're all very familiar with, and now, for Christmas, it's snowing. An excellent feature which has been added to the game. There's a split between those people who like to use the compass and those who like to use the minimap. I like to use the minimap because it gives me, hopefully, an overall picture of where the enemy tanks are and increases my map awareness. Some people like to use the compass and then they'll just flick to the minimap just to see where the enemy are. I always have the minimap on, but on the odd occasion, and it happens quite a lot, I do get a little bit disorientated, especially when a tank is sneaking up behind me, and I do very often get my lefts and rights muddled up. Well, now in the options there's an option to toggle minimap rotation. Your square minimap will rotate. It doesn't rotate live as you're moving as such, it will snap 90 degrees when you turn beyond a certain point. And this can be really handy, although it does change the way the map looks, so you've really got to know your maps, but it will snap 90 degrees and then wherever you're facing effectively will be north, if you like, and the enemy tanks will be in front of you, and it'll hopefully help to eradicate sometimes that perhaps little bit of disorientation you may have when you turn around to go back on yourself or the enemy sneaks up. And then there's a whole list of various little tweaks and changes and bug fixes in the game which I'll have scrolling up the screen as I speak. One of which I picked up on is if you play Pacific Island, you no longer spawn inside a landing craft and you can no longer hide in the landing crafts, which is a bit of a shame. I quite liked it when you randomly spawned in a landing craft and you'd hear the front door go down and you'd roll out to battle. I quite liked that, but that's gone now. I think for the end of the year, which has been a bit of a roller coaster year, this is a really nice little update. A new tech tree to play, very, very small admittedly, but it's a new tech tree nonetheless on historically based tanks. We have the excellent replay browser, which I'm really happy with. I think it's great that people can watch other people's games right the way through from start to finish. Love the fact that you can now use sniper view within those games to have a proper look at what the player and the players were doing. And I think the Minimap Rotation, admittedly when I first started using it, a little bit confusing still, but I think it's a good feature and I'm going to have that switched on and just see how I get on with it. This is a really nice, solid little update for the end of the year, and magically there's no mention of those other tanks either. Back to the updates of old, of concentrating on the core of the game and the interests of the core players. I hope you enjoyed this update. Keep safe, keep tanking, and I'll see you soon.